Do you need to win arguments, make better decisions, write better research papers, negotiate a better price, take charge in the boardroom? Did you hear bedroom? Welcome back to the channel where we learn to think critically, evaluate arguments, handle criticism, and persuade people. If any of that interests you, support this work by subscribing to the channel. That way you won't miss any of the upcoming critical thinking skills. If oil is made from decomposed dinosaurs and plastic comes from oil, then are plastic dinosaurs made from real dinosaurs? If God didn't want us to eat animals, He wouldn't have made them out of meat. It's time to eat grandma. Commas save lives. Do you know what makes jokes funny? The person delivering them. No, not always. Logic makes jokes funny. Comprehension, intelligibility, the use and abuse of logic is what makes jokes funny. This afternoon we took our kids to a local park, and in this park there's this cafe and they have amazing pastries. So I always end up buying cookies for the family, and after we're done working out and playing, we'll reward ourselves, which is really a net zero gain. I understand that, but there's something to a reward after you've been through some pain, so at least we got physical, right? My wife only ate half of her cookie. She saved the other half for after dinner and put it in this little box next to the espresso machine. When she wasn't looking, I hatched a plan. I replaced her precious cookie with a Rice Krispie treat. I put her cookie inside of a cup that's just behind the box that's always there. I put the lip of the cup right at the right angle, I thought, for her height, so that when she picked up the box, she thought something was in. When she opened it, she realized, oh no, my cookie's been eaten, but someone replaced it with a Rice Krispie treat. Real funny. But then she would notice immediately following that her cookie was still there. And so all I did was just wait. Things were set in motion that I couldn't undo, and sure enough, I heard from the kitchen the voice of my beautiful wife, "You punk," which is marriage talk for "you're so lovely, intelligent, and I love you." A little bit later, I waited. I was hoping it was gonna spring, and sure enough, "You double punk." She got it. She understood what I had done, and I thought, boy, I have really executed this plan perfectly. I'm Sherlock Holmes with my logic wrapped up in a Don Juan. I mean, it's hard to put my finger on the excellence that occurred today. If you ask her, it's completely annoying, but such is married life. Run. There are rules of thought that we can use to test concepts, ideas, and truth claims. After today's video, you'll be able to explain why something is wrong and how you arrived at that conclusion logically. As amazing as this new skill is, it will ruin things for you. Books, movies, entertainment, conversation, jokes. This new set of skills will open your eyes to things you never used to see before, and you'll think that's stupid because logic. Be really careful with this skill because it can really destroy relationships if it's abused. This first topic of logic will transform your life. It'll touch every aspect of your relationships, your family, your workplace, your friendships. It'll increase your effectiveness at helping others and yourself arrive at truth. But never go full logic. Logic is the science that helps us evaluate reasons, decisions, beliefs. It's a tool that helps us evaluate good arguments from bad arguments. Logic is the study of reason or valid inferences, premises that lead to conclusions, and the attending fallacies. Broadly, logic is the art of using reason well in our inquiries after truth, and the communication of it to others. As you'll see, logic covers a broad spectrum, but we're going to be focusing in on argumentation, how logic is used in argument. When I speak about logic, I'm not talking about a verbal fight with your wife or your kids. I'm talking about persuading someone to believe something with your words. It's making claims that lead to a conclusion and the other party agreeing with you on those claims and the conclusion. We can typically understand that something is wrong. We don't always know why that is. Even rarer is an ability to articulate why something is wrong. Think of logic as the first test we can use to determine if someone's argument is valid. Like math, the rules of logic are something that exist outside of ourselves. All mathematics is based upon logic. If I believe 2 plus 2 equals 5, then my beliefs do not align with reality because that's not true. We discover math and its relationship to our world. We didn't invent it. Likewise, all science is based upon logic. Inference and deduction are the practices of science built upon the backbone of logic. We discovered the rules of logic, we didn't invent them. If they are discovered, that means that they exist whether we believe in them or not, whether there's a mind to apprehend them or not. They're out there waiting to be discovered. That means they are objective facts, not subject to personal feelings, prejudices, or interpretations. Emotions are very powerful and they serve a great purpose, but they often can abuse the rules of logic. They lead us astray into making critical errors with the way we think. If someone is emotional, say they had a really tough day, they're always much more likely to make really good logical decisions. How do we know logic exists if it's not something that we can touch? It's not a physical thing. It's outside of the tangible world. Think about it. Logic is ethereal. It's immaterial. But as you'll see, logic is the foundation for all thought. Here's how we can know that logic exists. Repeat after me. Logic does not exist. To claim that logic does not exist has some prerequisites. We need to know what logic is in the mind of the person making the argument. And we need to have an agreed upon definition. This we call defining terms. And this right here is also what we call doing logic. If our skeptic of logic understands that logic is the art of using reason in our inquiries after truth and the communication of it to others, what's wrong with their statement, logic does not exist? Well, firstly, they have to use logic to deny logic. This is called self-refuting or self-defeating. You cannot say the thing that helps you do the thing you are doing does not exist. That's stupid at best, hypocritical at worst. All thinking is based upon logic. If someone doesn't believe in logic, Aristotle would ask the question of if they thought they existed. There are only 3 answers to this question. No, which is self-refuting because they would have to exist to say they don't exist. Yes, proving that they weren't skeptics and that we could actually know something. Or the third option of mutism, where they just don't answer, they're silent. They might close their eyes and plug up their ears so that they don't have to deal with reality. The problem with the mutist is, even if they don't answer, they're thinking of how they would answer, or how they wouldn't answer, which is still harnessing logic. It's inescapable. Here's another example. I don't speak English. I just used English to convey a contradictory message that I don't use it. Do you see the difficulty?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
It's a sentence spoken in English by the person who says they don't speak English. It's contradictory. It defeats itself. How does this prove that the rules of logic exist? Because we cannot refute them, even if we wanted to. In our effort to refute logic, we end up proving it. Logic doesn't exist. I just used logic to say logic doesn't exist. It doesn't work. Logic is built into the fabric of human thought and communication. It's the bedrock, the foundation. If logic didn't exist outside of the sender and the receiver of a message, say the sender had a different logical understanding than the receiver, then they could never communicate. If someone said logic doesn't exist, the receiver might have a different understanding of what logic is. It could be the opposite. Say it's opposite day. Someone says logic doesn't exist, the other person understands it to mean logic does exist. You see, there's a difficulty here. Without logic, without an understanding, communication is impossible. We need a grounding, we need a foundation, and logic is the foundation. Put it another way. Say the sender says, truth is unknowable. What's wrong with that statement? Well, if truth is unknowable, but the sender is saying that they know the truth, that truth is unknowable, then there's a truth that's knowable, that truth is unknowable, and it becomes contradictory. It's self-defeating. It refutes itself. That truth is knowable by the attempt of disproving it. Same for logic. You cannot disprove logic without approving it. If you didn't understand this concept, it can be challenging if it's the first time you've heard it. Rewind it and rewatch that section again. You need to get this before we move on. 2 + 2 = 4, and we know that just by seeing it. It's an intuitive understanding. Employing logic and rational inference, we see that 2 + 2 = 4. For example, if someone understands what a triangle and a three-sided figure are, we need not prove what a triangle is. They understand what it is by its terms and definitions. It is self-evident that this means triangle. Three-sided figure, triangle. Logic is self-evidently true. We know this by looking at it. We see it intuitively, rationally. And by attempting to disprove it, we end up proving logic. That's why I call logic the foundation of all thought. We cannot think without logic, and by knowing the rules of logic, you'll be able to see when those rules are broken. Keep a lookout for our next video on the abuses of logic. And until next time, critical thinkers, think deeply.